1 minute. This is our reorg meeting that will be chaired by our Superintendent, Brendan Asplin.
No. I'm on. Oh, am I on? There we go. All right. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to welcome you to the reorganization of the School Board and Finance Corporation meeting the 16th day of November, 2021. If anyone would like to speak during the hearing of citizens, please fill out a card in the back of the chambers and hand it to our board assistant, Kathy Tompkins. I will call you up at the appropriate time, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Please note that this is a nomination as opposed to a motion, so no second is needed. Nominations are now in order for the office of Chair of the Sarasota County School Board for 2021-2022. Are there any nominations?
I move Jane Goodwin as chair for the 2021-2022 school year.
Only in the spirit of collaboration and rotating the chair across the board. I'm fully in support of Mrs. Goodwin and her skills as chair, but we've gone from Mrs. Goodwin to Mrs. Zucker to Mrs. Brown and back to Mrs. Goodwin again, and I was hoping that in the spirit of teaming and collaboration that we could operate in that fashion. So for those reasons, I am nominating Mrs. Ziegler.
Are there any other nominations? Ms. Brown, did you want to?
I have a comment to make. We have been making the, sometimes changing it up so that Jane Goodwin could be chaired during the referendum because she also chairs the referendum committee. And so she has to speak out for the committee. So we often made the chair, Jane chair during the referendum.
All right. Are there any other nominations? All right. Declare the nominations closed. I have Shirley Brown moved the nomination for Jane Goodwin as chair of Sarasota County School Board. Those in favor of Ms. Goodwin serving as the chair for 21-22, please vote now.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
All right. All right, so the recommendation passes. I hereby declare Ms. Goodwin the 21-22 chair of the Sarasota County School Board. Please note that for vice chair, this is a nomination as opposed to a motion, so no second is needed. Nominations are now in order for the office of vice chair of the Sarasota County School Board for 21-22 school year. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mrs. Ziegler.
I also nominate Tom Edwards.
Are there any other nominations? All right, I declare nominations closed. What we have is Ms. Rose moved the nomination for Ms. Ziegler as vice chair of the Sarasota County School Board. Those in favor of Ms. Ziegler serving as vice chair for the 21-22 school year, please vote now. Those in favor?
Yes.
Say it again. Yes, yes. Okay, those opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
No.
All right, that recommendation fails. Ms. Goodwin moved the nomination for Mr. Edwards as vice chair of the Sarasota County School Board. Those in favor of Mr. Edwards serving as vice chair for the 21-22 school year, please vote now. Those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right. All right, it's now time for hearing of citizens. I do have one card here, and if Ms. Cote would please come forward.
Ashley Cody. I'm a little disappointed in the vote. I thought we could have both sides chairing as vice chair and chair. And hopefully this doesn't hinder moving forward with working with parents and staff who have differing views in the community. That's all.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cody. And I'd like to now congratulate Ms. Goodwin as the new chair, and I'll pass the gavel.
Thank you, Superintendent Asplin, members of the board, our illustrious chair, Shirley Brown, who did a fabulous job over the past year. And now we're looking at approving our regular school board meetings for the following year. So may I have a motion, please?
I move that all meetings, I move for approval of the 2022 regular school board meeting dates as described herein. Do you want me to read them all?
No.
Okay.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Bridget?
I don't know if you have the thing up. I just wanted to note that I'd like to get back to where we have a South County meeting. I know in the past, I know during COVID, we kind of suspended that, but at the very minimum, I'd like to see at least two meetings. I'd like actually, I mean, if we do quarterly, but certainly at least two meetings down South County so that since we serve a large geographic region, that they do not have to come all the way here. So we can decipher when that is at a different time, but I did want to make note that we do need to get back to that.
I spoke with the new city manager in Northport, had a meeting with him about a week and a half ago, and we discussed that, and I think that's a great idea. I also have scheduled a meeting with the city of Venice, and would like to see if we can't get both of those on our schedule. Any other discussion?
I was on deck.
Oh, I didn't have your name. I'm sorry. Oh, it was me.
I just wanted to point out that we did move all of our meetings to 6 p.m. to accommodate parents and staff who are working during the day.
Hearing no other discussion, and we now approve of the meeting dates for the next year, 2022. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The motion carries unanimously. Next up, we are suspending the reorganization meeting and convening the financing corporation. We're suspending the suspension of the reorganization meeting and convening of the annual meeting of the Finance Corporation for the Sarasota County School Board, Sarasota County, Florida. This annual meeting confirms and ratifies all actions taken by the officers and directors and elected the chair as president and the superintendent as secretary and treasurer, that the reorganization meeting be temporarily suspended and the annual meeting of the Financing Corporation for the School Board of Sarasota County be convened. Next, we have the election of officers. May I have a motion, please?
I move that we elect Jane as I don't have the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I move that we elect Jane Goodwin as the president of the corporation and Brennan Asmus as the secretary and treasurer of the corporation.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed by saying nay. The ayes carry 5-0. The motion passes. Now we'll adjourn the annual Finance Corporation meeting to reconvene the reorganization meeting. Hearing no other business, may I have a motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Please vote yea by signifying
Yay.
yea,
Yay.
and nay by signifying the same. Hearing no other discussions, we are now adjourned.
Could you slide the names out and switch them? Thank you.
One minute. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to the school board meeting this Tuesday, November 16th in the year 2021. The public is encouraged and welcome to address the school board at the hearing of citizens. If you wish to speak during the hearing of citizens, please pick up a card in the back of the chamber, print your name and topic clearly, and return the card to our board assistant, Kathy Tompkins, sitting to my left. At the appropriate time, I'll call you up to speak, and no more cards will be accepted after the beginning of the meeting. Let's now stand for the flag salute under the direction of Sarasota Military Academy. Ben Wise, Lieutenant Colonel, retired, Special Forces, under his direction.
Carry, colors. Ready, two, forward, march. March time, march. Ready, pace. Colors, halt.
I'll ask our student representative to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Xander Morris from Pineview School.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry, colors. Ready, two, post. Step. Mark time, march. Ready, pace. Forward, march.
You may be seated. At this time, we have a real special treat. We have a live performance featuring one of our high schools. Please welcome the Riverview High School Advanced Guitar Ensemble, led by their teacher, Whitney Verdoni. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you being here. You know, to play guitar is to play guitar for a lifetime. And we know that a lot of our students enjoy music and the arts, and we know that that is something that is so good to stimulate the right side of the brain, the creative side of the brain. It works so well with math. I can't say enough about music, but you all do very, very well, play beautifully, and it sort of relaxed me a little bit. So I feel a little better about this meeting and how it's going to go. Thank you very much, and you may, if you've finished, get up from your seats and move to, or leave if you need to leave and get some homework. Let's have another round of applause. And now back to our wonderful student representative. Our student representative today is Xander Moritz from Pine View School, a wonderful school in the middle of the county, a magnet school for gifted. Welcome, Xander. It's nice to have you join us today as a student rep. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know you're a senior.
Correct. Before I get into it, I want to say thank you to the board for having a student representative and really respecting the voices of the kids in the county. I know my peers and I both all appreciate it, and so that it definitely actualizes the idea that we're here to represent and support the voices of the kids in the county, and I think that's important. I apologize for running in last minute. There was a small family emergency, so I'm just grateful to be here. I'm a senior. I'm very interested in education policy. That's something I hope to continue to do in college. I'm definitely a political advocate, and I work deeply in local politics. I worked on Karen Rose's campaign, and I really enjoy the intersection of politics and education and seeing where those ideas can combine and see how politics can be used as a tool to shape and better education in the way that that can become more accessible across different socioeconomic lines. And I'm just very excited to continue to do that wherever I attend college, and I've been very grateful to be able to engage with that richly in settings like this.
Well, best of luck to you. And I'm sure that you've got a long list of colleges that you're looking at right now. So please tell us a little bit about the Civility Squad character trait for November and how it affects you.
So the Civility Squad trait this month is say thank you, appreciate the things others do, and they will appreciate you too. Last time I was here, I focused on being grateful for my teachers and academics and the support that they have provided. This time I'd like to step outside of the classroom and really express the gratitude that I have for the opportunities present at Pine View. I'm very engaged in Model UN and speech and debate and student government and Peace Jam, and these organizations have definitely shaped the person that I am, and they've given me the ability to become the advocate and leader that I am today. I'm very grateful to be in that environment, and I'm also cognizant that those opportunities aren't accessible in all spaces, and I know that even across schools locally in Sarasota County, those opportunities aren't as supported or present in a lot of the different schools. And I know we as a debate program take in students who are at schools that don't really have a high-functioning or populated debate program, and my debate partner last year came from Riverview, and she's qualified for national many times and is one of the most talented debaters I've ever seen. And so in that regards, I am a little concerned with the idea that we're missing out on these nationally ranking debaters just because they didn't have those opportunities at their school. So, and the idea that not only with that, but with things like Peace Jam, that's helped promote advocacy and is created, I think, Pine View is definitely known for having a very socially aware and active student body. And I think the organizations like Peace Jam and Model UN play a really key role in that. And so in the same stroke of gratitude, it's also a reflection on how can we make these more accessible in other places, and how can we work to engage the entire county in activities like this. And I'm also just grateful to have a board and an administration that gives me a platform and the ability to voice concerns and gratitude such as those. And I think I'm just grateful that I had the engagements that made me an advocate and the space to be one.
Well, I want to say thank you again for serving as our student representative today. I presented you with a certificate of appreciation, and I just wish you all the best luck. You are a critical thinker. Go forth and have a great life, and come back and let us know how things are going with you next year.
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Brown.
I think you'd like to go back and pull up the discussion we had today from our equity committee to make more options available to more students. I think that follows in line with what some of the things you were saying. And we had quite a discussion this morning on that. I think we talked about it for over an hour. And I think you'd really enjoy it. And just go to our website and go to board meetings and go to the agenda for the workshop today. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay, I will take a look. Thank you.
Next up, we have special presentations, and today we have two. The first presentation today is it presents the Soil and Water Conservation winner. I'd like to invite Dr. Sarah Burkett to approach the podium. Oops. Yes, Sarah, would you make the introductions, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Superintendent Dr. Asplin, school board members, district council, and our student representative. My name is Dr. Sarah Burkett. I'm the high school science program specialist. And we really value our community partners that work so hard to bring learning to life for our students. And with that being said, I would like to introduce Mr. Todd Underhill, who's the chairman of the Sarasota County Soil and Water Conservation District, to recognize outstanding student achievement in agriculture. Mr. Underhill?
Thank you. When most people think of Sarasota, they don't think of agriculture. They think of the beaches and tourism. But Sarasota has a long and vibrant history of agriculture, production of fruit, cattle, and plants as well. And even dating back further, we know that the original inhabitants here, the Native Americans, that they also used stewardship, they used controlled burning to keep the land healthy for the hunting that they did. The Soil and Water Conservation District was formed in Sarasota in 1947 as part of a national trend from the 1930s when America faced the Dust Bowl, its greatest ecological crisis ever, and they created conservation districts, of which there are thousands now in all 50 states and territories. Sarasota's works with landowners and users, both in an urban and rural setting today, to foster that kind of sponsorship, that stewardship. We enthusiastically support environmental and agricultural education in our schools. Every year we join with Manatee River Soil and Water Conservation District in sponsoring the Envirothon, a regional competition among select student teams from area high schools coached by their natural science teachers. Winning teams go to compete at state level. This year, Envirothon will be held live, not virtually as it was last year, at Oscar Scheer State Park on January 27th. The Sarasota Soil and Water Conservation District also hopes to restore the statewide annual speech contest for middle and high school students and the poster contest for all grades. If any students or teachers have interest in these, they can always reach out to us through either the USDA Service Center in Sarasota or the Sarasota County Cooperative Extension and ask for information, and we'll make sure they get it. In celebration of the collaborative relationship between Sarasota Soil and Water Conservation District and agricultural education in the county schools, we are pleased to honor Jade Jones, Jr. at Sarasota High for winning the title of Sarasota County Miss Teen Agriculture USA, which she was awarded in July of 2021. Since that award, she has also won the title in the American Miniature Horse Registry of National Princess. Jade is accomplished with many forms of livestock, including heifers, goats, mini horses, and smaller animals. She's an 11-year member of 4-H, which teaches children in agriculture to show and sell at the county fair, and she's vice president of the local chapter of the Future Farmers of America. She is accompanied today by her parents, Mandy and Henry Jones, her younger sister, Tristan, as well as Sarah Davis, the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences leader of 4-H in Sarasota, and Mr. David Jones, principal at Sarasota High School. Please join me in congratulating Jade on her accomplishments. And thank the school board for allowing us to do the presentation.
Well, Todd, if you would introduce and have those stand that you just mentioned, along with Audie Bach, who's also a member of your board, who's in the audience. our great partner for us, the Soil and Water Conservation Board, who are elected officials just like we are in this county. And would you all please stand up? Could we do a picture? Mr. Jones? Could we get a picture, Craig, please,
Yeah.
in front here? Put beautiful Jay in the middle. I'm really impressed with all of this 4-H experience. That's great. And all those animals. That's right. Oh, it's wonderful. It's just
We're
wonderful.
going to have to put some of you on the other side.
Yep.
There you go. Do we need to move in?
Congratulations. Thank you. Next up, we have the National Merit semifinalists. So Steve Candice, our Executive Director of Middle and High Schools, will come forward now to make the introduction. Steve?
Okay, is this on? Hear me okay? Great. So first of all, isn't it great to have the students back into the chambers, recognizing them for all their great accomplishments and hearing the wonderful music today. So good afternoon, Superintendent Aspen, Chairwoman Brown, Chairwoman Goodwin, I got it right there, sorry about that, and members of the school board, and Mr. DeLeo, and student rep Xander Moritz. Thank you all for being here tonight. Today, I have the privilege of sharing details about the National Merit Scholarship Program. The National Merit Scholarship Program is an academic competition for recognition and scholarships, and it began in 1955. High school students enter the National Merit Program by taking the preliminary SAT, National Merit Scholarship qualifying test in their junior year, and by meeting published program entry and participation requirements. Over 1.5 million juniors and about 21,000 high schools entered the 2020 National Merit Scholarship Program. In September, our students are notified through their schools that they have qualified as either a commended student or a semifinalist. From approximately 16,000 semifinalists from across the country, about 15,000 are expected to advance to the finalist level, and in February, they will be notified of this designation. This afternoon, you will have the distinct privilege of meeting our Sarasota County semifinalists from Northport High School, Venice High School, Riverview High School, and Pineview School. And tonight, I'm going to ask Ms. Fusco, the principal at Northport High School, if she'll come up, and she'll be the first principal to introduce her student.
Thank you, Mr. Cantiz. Superintendent Asplin and our Sarasota School Board members, good afternoon, and thank you for hosting us here today. As we welcome these students to be recognized, I would like to take a moment to thank the staff who are supporting them. Every single classified, instructional, and administrative one of us is extremely proud of these scholars. And I applaud all of you committed to these roles in education in preparing these learners to be our future. Tonight, I very proudly announce Joey French as Northport High School's National Merit semifinalist honoree.
Congratulations. If you'll go across there after you shake your principal. We're going to get a picture there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Asplin and school board members. Parents play a key role in our students' success. Being recognized as a National Merit semifinalist is just one accomplishment of many that these students will obtain. Our student achievements are due in large part to the dedication of the parents and their parents. During this Thanksgiving season, I am thankful for the parents and families of our students recognized today. I am honored to recognize two Venice High School students as National Merit semifinalists, Alexia King and Haley Sprague.
Good afternoon, Superintendent Asplund and Sarasota County School Board. We also recognize that in order for our students to be afforded these opportunities, it takes leadership and support from every level. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, we also want to give gratitude for the support of the superintendent and our school board. We applaud your efforts as you work tirelessly to afford our community an incredible educational system rich with rigorous class offerings and experiences that enhance our students' education. It is my honor to congratulate the following 4 students from Riverview High School as National Merit semifinalists: Molly Abel, Grant Collins, Ursula Kushner, and Alexa Ziff. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, board members, Dr. Asplund, Mr. DeLeo, and Xander. I promise this will be shorter than a Pineview graduation. It's an honor to be with you this afternoon and to introduce to you the 22 names of students at Pineview School. In the season and spirit of Thanksgiving, I have to express my gratitude. We have many sayings at Pineview, and one of them is that if we see further, it is because we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Not only are these students standing on some pretty big shoulders of those who have come before, but they are becoming the giants on whose shoulders future generations of students will one day stand. None of this would be possible, however, without the incredible support from our community in every way. So we would like to express our gratitude and thanksgiving to our families and our community in Sarasota, throughout Sarasota County. And it's my pleasure to introduce the following students. If they would come up, please. Summer Bossman, Sarah Catalano, Matthew Couvert, Nelson Creed, Abraham Daoud, Cole Furley, Laura Gayer, Eden Glickman, Andrew Goodson, Connor LaFaux, Jimmy Liu, Layla McKenzie, Elizabeth McBride, Sonika Prakash, Gavin Pufall, Jack Rias, Lucas Rudloff, Edward Shen, Richard Sawicki. And those not able to join us this afternoon, Dimitri Papas, Ricardo Prado Cunha, and Siddhartha Reddy. Thank you.
Okay, Craig, you want to get them organized for a picture here? Let's go.
Absolutely. 3 or 4 deep. Come on in.
Can we get, you want to do a couple rows? All right, we can do 2 rows. Come on. All right, why don't we
Yeah. Hey, can we take pictures? Can we come up here and take parents? Take pictures? Or we got to stay behind the blue line? There we go, we can. I'm not crazy.
Parents, if you want to come up and take a picture, feel free to do so.
I can see that Northport golf shirt.
Take your finger off the lens.
Congratulations. Good job, guys. Good job.
Accomplishments and achievements. What a great thing. What a great group to have in, Dr. Asplin, before we have our Thanksgiving break. So next up is our superintendent's report.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Goodwin. I appreciate that. First, I just wanted to say congratulations to all of our national semifinalists. You all are amazing. I know that some of you are still in here, but I know that you are so dedicated to your work at school. And but beyond that, I know you also probably have jobs, and you're also involved in other activities, and you probably have a social life as well, and you're working really, really hard on your work. And I just want you to know we recognize that and recognize your passion, your dedication, your hard work every single day at your school. And I know your principals and your teachers are really proud of you, and your parents are too. So again, congratulations. Job well done. All right, a couple of items. First of all, this week is National Education Week. So this week celebrates public education and honors the individuals working to ensure that every student receives a quality education. Each day of the week has its own theme during which we will celebrate our public school community. Everyone from our teachers to our bus drivers, our substitutes, food service, facilities, custodial, everyone in between, they all play a key role in the success of our students. So I want to say thank you to all of them as we celebrate National Education Week this week. Also, we have Thanksgiving break coming up, and students have off all week next week. All week next week, students are off. And Veterans Day celebrations, we had quite a few of those last week, and different activities. We had parades and different activities on campus, and I know that we have some video of that, and we'd like to show that at this point. Can't hear it. Let's go ahead and run it through again. Go ahead and start it from the beginning and run it through. So we do want to, yes. Thank you, definitely. Thank you to our veterans, and I also want to thank our schools and our students and our teachers and our community for for all the activities that occurred last Thursday and in honor of our veterans. So thank you very much. Also, I want to talk about Michelle Miller. Michelle Miller is our Assistant Principal of the Year. Michelle Miller has been an educator in Sarasota County for over 20 years at both the elementary and middle school levels. She was a data coach, testing coordinator, prior to getting her second master's degree in educational leadership. Michelle was proud to be honored at Graduate Student of the Year at University of South Florida and went on to be named as Glen Allen Elementary School's Assistant Principal for the last 3 years. Michelle proudly serves her students, her staff, and families, and we are pleased to announce that Michelle Miller is Sarasota County's Assistant Principal of the Year. And I think we have a video for her, too. Yeah, we're having audio problems today, aren't we? Yeah. Goodness.
Schools. Good afternoon, boys and girls. I am here with a super special announcement along with Dr. Brandon Johnson, Executive Director of Elementary Schools. What is happening?
You are our Assistant Principal of the Year.
Wow! I don't even know what to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do for our kids and your families and the school.
Oh.
Appreciate everything.
It is my blessing.
It's a humbling experience to be put in a place alongside of great people that work well beyond their abilities sometimes to serve our students and our staff. And I'm proud to serve the people that I serve, not only my colleagues and administration, but my staff and our amazing students every day.
Mrs. Miller, congratulations. We are so proud of you. What would you like to say to the students and staff?
Oh, I just want to thank my students and my amazing staff. This is for you. Thanks so much. Superintendent Asplund, thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen of the board, and Xander, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And what an honor and a privilege it is to represent my colleagues. I sat in a room last week filled with assistant principals. And as I sat there, I couldn't help but look around and be humbled by being able to stand here and represent them. People, leaders in our county that work tirelessly on behalf of our students, on behalf of their staffs and our families. So what an honor it is to stand here. A year ago, I was nominated to serve on an association of aspiring principals that is national, represented by not only the Superintendent Association, but the National Elementary School Principal Association. And I served for over a year with colleagues and superintendents and principals and assistant principals. We collaborated and shared information. I grew and reflected as a leader. But more so than that, I was able to proudly share what we do in this county. I think our perspective is so narrow because many of us, like me, have served a long time in our county, and that's our perspective and our view. But to be able to be given the opportunity to step outside of our county, hear what others are doing, and celebrate, truly celebrate what you give us the ability to do here as a county was amazing. So thank you. On behalf of every assistant principal in our county, this award belongs to them, to our families, and to our students. And we cannot thank you enough for allowing us to serve and lead. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ms. Miller, and again, congratulations. I have one last item too that I'm actually going to read, but I feel like I need to do this. You know, there's with these board meetings that we have, and everybody knows that I how can I say this? The board meetings sometimes are controversial, and I know that those folks in our schools, our employees, our principals, assistant principals, our teachers, and I talk to them all the time, being out in the schools, and I know that they have been very disappointed, very upset with just our school district and the way that we have such controversy and the way things are handled and everything else, especially here in board meetings. And I really feel like I need to address this as your superintendent. And I'm just going to tell you my opinion, what I think, and and what we need to do. So, first of all, we have an excellent school district, and I've been in. This is my third one. And this school district is really amazing. And the other day coming home from, I don't know where I was, Orlando, and I'm driving down 75, and you get to that sign that says "Welcome to Sarasota" or "We're entering Sarasota County." And when I read that sign, I just feel so great that we have an awesome school system. This is our play. We have a great team here in Sarasota as far as our school district is concerned. And I think we all do. We all work together. And at our schools, when you go out to our schools and you visit our schools and see our students and our teachers and everybody working together, it's just amazing. It warms my heart. But I have to say that I have been very disappointed as well, and I just have to say this. And so here we go. So first of all, we are a fantastic county, but there are people who are not working together but are more about how they can find something wrong with the school district. Now, I know everybody has a First Amendment right. I'm not saying you can't. I'm never going to say anybody cannot speak or can't say whatever you want. I'm just saying that there are people that have to find something seems like wrong with the district all the time. However, some individuals sensationalize the issues. They spout off inaccurate information. They utilize social media about everything wrong with the school system. They make everything political, and they're not trying to better the school system. And even when asked to come and talk to us at the school district, they don't come in and talk. They just want to talk about all the bad things going on and not solve any issues. And are trying to find ways it seems like, to hurt the school system. This causes division. This causes distrust. And it causes division and distrust among our school district and our community. Those listening out there, don't believe every single thing you hear in here. There is always another side to the story. Wow. But I will say, in fairness, we have some folks who do talk to me and will come in, or if I call or I want to get together with them and talk about an issue and solve the issue. And guess what? We do. We solve it. It's great. And I appreciate that. We have over 5,200 employees who are hardworking, dedicated people serving our students and families with everything they have every day. And they are disappointed with the nonsense that's going on. And it needs to stop. If we want our district to be number one, it needs to stop. Our district is strong. Our district is strong. One of only 2 districts who have earned an A rating since 2004 and even maintained the A in the midst of the pandemic for the last couple of years. Performing arts and visual arts programs are incredible. Our athletics programs are outstanding. We have high-quality administrators and staff and 2,700 passionate, caring, dedicated, amazing teachers who care for and work with students and families in a positive manner every single day, regardless of all the nonsense that happens outside of our schools. We have excellent students. We have wonderful families. We have thousands of committed volunteers, very supportive community, including business partners and foundations. We should continue to galvanize together and support one another to give our students a top-notch education which provides unlimited opportunities. And I just want to bring up a couple of examples that continually seem to surface. First of all, problems with ESE. I know we've had our problems with ESE. For the last year, we've been working on those, and we've been doing a lot with that and really changing things in our ESE department, and I'm proud of what they've done. I am proud of what they've done, and let me tell you, I've been doing this for 33 years. I've been in all cases. I've been a teacher, an assistant principal, a dean, a coach, a principal, HR, assistant superintendent, now superintendent. They are doing a great job. You don't know because you're not there. I am there. I'm telling you right now they are. We had over 8,300 IEP meetings last year with only a very few instances that rose to higher level that we handle. We handle them. Our goal is to provide outstanding customer service and support our students and families as we follow state and federal laws, which we have to follow. Our ESE teams...
talking, please.
Our ESE teams follow through to assist families every day. Family information that is shared in the boardroom is personal and confidential, and you won't hear me discuss this type of information regarding a student or a family from the dais. However, we do meet with these families and work through any and all issues. It has been... Excuse me, I'm talking and you're rude. Stop talking while I'm talking, please. Thank you very much. It has been said that we don't serve our ESE students, but rather cause problems and pay settlements in litigation. Well, guess what? FYI, we have had no ESE litigation for over a year. Our district and school teams do an excellent job of supporting our students and parents, and we will continue to provide excellent customer service while serving our students so they are successful. We'll be the first to say we are not perfect. We're not perfect, and we always have room to grow, and we have put procedures and processes in place as we move forward. Another item, which is nonsense regarding to non-transparency and that we're hiding information. This is absolutely ridiculous. We are very transparent. We constantly update our website with information and send all information requested through public records requests, all of it. There's nothing to hide. We send everything. I've seen recent social media posts regarding the strategic plan and the PIM. I get it. They're new. They're new and people don't know about them. I get that. The strategic plan has been presented on a board workshop and has been on our website for over a month. The PIM, let me just explain what the PIM is. The PIM reflects the templates of our staff who uses this to make revisions and updates that help us monitor progress and create reports for future board workshops as we move forward throughout the years with our live strategic plan. The PIM is a collection of live documents. They're on our computers. They are what our teams use to revise on a daily basis. So if you go in there, you can change things, and our staff are the ones who work in those. And so when we have a public records request, we have to first change it to a read-only document, and then we send it out. And that's what we do. That's what we do. We provide this information, any other information requested by the public. There is nothing to hide. We don't have anything to hide. I don't know why people keep saying that, but they need to stop because it's not true. We are a huge organization, huge, and as problems arise, we listen to constructive criticism, we listen to concerns, we listen to input, and we make changes as needed. No matter how successful we are as a school district, there will always be room for improvement. I've said that since day one, since I've been here, and we will continue to improve our school district for our students. Every day in our schools, every single day in those schools, we are providing a remarkable education for our students. I'm there all the time, and they are. But the criticism out there that exists based on inaccurate information is used only to poke the school district in the eye and try to make everything look bad. This is irresponsible and unacceptable. Our school district is strong and one of the top districts in the state. Ever since last year, our goal has been to build trust and positive relationships, working together as one for the success of all students. We've been trying to do that. Some people don't see that. We've been trying to do that all along. The external political noise is in the way. It prevents us from moving forward like we can and like we should. And I know our families and employees want to move forward, continuing to be a great school district. So let's work together to solve our problems and communicate our positives to the world as we strive to be the best for the success of our students. That's the end of my report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Asplin. Let's not get out of hand here because we're now going into the hearing of citizens. Yeah, that's a good one. Do this with your hands, no noise, no finger snapping, but no clapping, no speaking up. You in the black sweater in the middle, you've been warned. Next time, we'll be asking someone to remove you, please. This is not a meeting of your ilk. It is a meeting for the school board to do school board business. So please be respectful and be quiet. The purpose of this meeting is for the school board to conduct school board business. The meeting is open to the public. As such, members of the public will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard after school board business, including topics on the agenda. Citizens wishing to address the board will complete a speaker card at the beginning of the meeting, and then no more cards will be taken. The speaker will be called forward when it's their turn to speak, and we request that you speak from the podium and into the microphone and address the board. Prior to speaking, each speaker shall state his or her name. So that we can set a good example, as good an example as possible for the district's impressionable students, we respectfully request that you address the board and one another in a civil and courteous manner. Each speaker will be afforded a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. No speaker may yield his or her time to another. When your time has elapsed, we ask that you promptly exit the podium area as directed so that we can call the next speaker. After you exit, you're permitted to return to the board meeting as a spectator if you choose to do so, and remain quiet. So that we can efficiently conduct school board business in an orderly fashion, a few rules apply. First, speakers address the school board shall refrain from remarks which are irrelevant. Second, speakers addressing the board or one another are prohibited from making remarks that are abusive, threatening, defamatory, obscene, profane, or otherwise disorderly. We value everyone's viewpoint, and we ask that during the meeting you act in a manner that is equally permits other speakers to espouse views that you agree and disagree with during their allotted time to speak. We also ask that you refrain from any actions or utterances that chill another person's ability to address the school board with their own concerns during their allotted time to speak. Third, members of the public are not permitted to broadcast any audio or video recordings or display any signs, posters, flags, banners, T-shirts, or other placards in the school board meeting room, regardless of the content contained therein. Please note that Florida law prohibits any person from knowingly disrupting or interfering with this meeting. This includes individuals who advise, counsel, or instruct others on techniques to disrupt this meeting. We look forward to hearing your views today in conformance with these rules. These rules are intended to facilitate the efficient execution of school board business. The failure to follow these protocols may result in your removal from this meeting and could result in prosecution. We expect that you will govern yourselves accordingly with this in mind. This comes from the state statute 1001.372(3). Anyone causing a disruption will first be given a warning, and if the conduct does not stop, you'll be removed from the chambers. We look forward to hearing what you have to say today. Everybody will be heard. You have 3 minutes. When the caution light goes off at 1 minute left, and then the red light comes on and the bell rings, we expect you to stop. If you're praying, say amen and sit down. But 3 minutes is what you've got, and 3 minutes will be adhered to, please. So first up, let me guess, Martin Hyde.
Okay, my name is Martin Hyde. I remain a parent of a child in the woke school system, and if you don't like the heat in the kitchen, Mr. Superintendent, I suggest you get the hell out. This morning, the board discussed their new equity policy. You know, we just saw the equity policy, their school board version of it. 31% of the registered voters in this county are Democrats. 69% therefore are not. 356,000 people. 60% of you on your board carving it up between you. So much for equity. But coming back to my point, equity was described this morning on one slide as when all students receive the resources they need. Now, that's not a new concept. As in 1875, in Critique of the Gotha, Karl Marx famously wrote the line, "To each according to his needs." Be under no illusions. Behind every woke directive, this leftist school board seeks to redistribute your taxes and efforts away from your kids' schools to those that they believe have a greater need. The equity director gave the specific example, and I'm paraphrasing, School A having more than School B, to which the school board chair added the example of Pineview school parents, where my kid goes, having donated equipment that other schools didn't have. Interestingly, the equity director also gave an example of what wouldn't be equity if, and I quote specifically, the board chair was shut down every time she spoke, rather contradicting the leftist majority on this board who want to shut down taxpayers and majorities every time they speak. Maybe not getting the participation trophy seal of approval from the school system's director of woke will cause the current leftist majority to rethink their unprecedented attempts at censorship, which contradict the essence of our free republic. Thanksgiving is next week, and there remain many reasons to be thankful, Mr. Superintendent. I'm thankful for the renewed interest in our kids' education on a national and state level. I'm thankful we live in Florida with a governor who believes in freedom. I'm thankful that he's called a special session of our legislature to put an end to the unconstitutional vaccine mandates. And I'm thankful that this time next year, we will no longer have a leftist majority on this board. Finally, I'm thankful that today is Free Carl Rittenhouse Day.
I said no clapping, and I meant no clapping. I'll clear this entire room if I have to ask you again.
More threats.
Get up and do it. Do it. We'll come back.
Jennifer Cottrell.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Cottrell. You know, recently I was told by some parents, "Oh, you just want a participation trophy for your kids." No, what I asked for was an equivalent education just like other students. I've had folks say, "Well, our IB students are our future. They are the next lawyers, doctors, engineers, etc. We need to make sure the best education." Wow, that made me really wonder how much these folks know about our ESC students. Somewhere along the lines, these folks thought these students were incapable of learning, that some of these students were incapable of contributing to society. Maybe they've never heard of some of these people. Sir Richard Branson, billionaire, entrepreneur from the UK. Barbara Corcoran, real estate businesswoman, speaker, author. Ben Carson, neurosurgeon and former U.S. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Nelson Rockefeller, vice president under the Gerald Ford administration. Steven Spielberg, Academy Award-winning director. How about Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, William Shakespeare? The list goes on. Why am I mentioning these folks? They all had some sort of learning disability, yet they contributed greatly to society. My son tells me all the time, I'm built differently, that his brain is wired differently. I tell him that's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. I tell him you have the ability to think outside the box and come up with different ideas and approaches. So when things fail, people will look to folks like you to come up with new ways of doing things. Regarding the workshop this morning, I will say I was happy to hear Dr. Moore speak regarding the equity plan. I will have to say I'm a little skeptical because it's going to take a lot more than seeing some words on paper. I need to see it being implemented at all levels. Starting with administration, the one piece that struck me out was the belonging concept and how it attributes to the achievement gap. I'm a strong believer that when kids feel out of place or that they don't belong, it affects their ability to learn. This doesn't fix everything, but I will say it's a step in the right direction. Recently, I attended a quarterly meeting at the Discovery Academy at Riverview High School. I saw students like my son be recognized for their achievements for the first quarter. My son didn't get to attend, but he was recognized during the program, and when I texted him to tell him he was on cloud 9, I actually got an email from one of his teachers that day saying that he was ahead in class and that he had a really good day and that he was one of the happiest days that she's ever seen him. I knew right away why that was. His hard work had paid off, and someone recognized him for what he had done. That was a boost in the confidence that he needed. The only thing missing from this experience was the presence of all of the Riverview High School administration to show these kids that their achievement was important for their presence. Again, we have a long way to go, and this doesn't fix all of our problems, but it's a step of many, one step of many, and we are going to make sure that we walk the talk. As we've always said, working as one for the success of all. Thank you.
Rana Bazzini.
Dr. Asplin, board members, Mr. DeLeo, Xandra, Ms. Tompkins. My name is Rana Bazzini, and I'm a resident of Sarasota. Let's clear our minds of trigger words and terminology that have been obfuscating the real issue. How do we want to educate our children? What is the goal of education? This has traditionally been done through a public school system paid for by taxes. The support of public education goes back to the founding fathers. They believed democracy would only function with an educated populace. At that time, the voting population was comprised of white men of property. Luckily, that has changed over the years. And also, the population of children eligible for public school has expanded. From the genius to the intellectually challenged, the superb athlete to the physically challenged. Let's move from who shall be educated to what should be taught. Academic instruction, good citizenship, and preparation for careers, they seem like admirable goals. As we all know, the devil is in the details. There are dueling philosophies as how to best reach these goals. I would argue for the public school model. Given the proper resources, it can meet the needs of all students. Alternate models serve just a few, and they drain resources from the public system. No system is perfect. No matter how configured, some parents will not be comfortable in a public school setting. Other options are appropriate and have always been available. We have evolved into a diverse society. Our diversity is agatha-cocological. It's both an asset and a liability. It can divide us and it can unite us. Which one will we choose? I firmly believe a strong public school system is necessary for our constitutional federal republic to survive. Thank you.
Carrie D. Tomaso.
Good afternoon, Superintendent Asplin and school
A little
board
closer to the
members.
mic, please, ma'am.
Is that better?
Much better, thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Carrie D. Tomaso. I've been a parent in the Sarasota County school system since 2010. I have 3 sons, and in the last 11 years, we have been a part of Pineview School, Brookside Middle School, and Riverview High School. All my boys, past and present, have been in Riverview's International Baccalaureate program. It has come to my attention that much negativity has been expressed in these chambers, and I would like to present a differing, more positive perspective. I have to believe that all parents want the best possible education for their children, as I do. As a parent in Sarasota, the array of educational choices for our kids can be overwhelming. But on the flip side, the choices are phenomenal, and they're available to all. My husband and I, as well as our kids, chose for them to go to Riverview's IB program. The mission of the IB program really spoke to us, and I'd like to share it with you today. The International Baccalaureate aims to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. To this end, the organization works with schools, governments, and international organizations to develop challenging programs, international education, and rigorous assessment. These programs encourage students across the world to become active, compassionate, and lifelong learners who understand that other people, with their differences, can also be right. The education my kids received at Riverview has set them up for successes in college and beyond. My oldest son graduated from Florida State University and is now finishing his second year of medical school. My middle son graduated from Florida State University, summa cum laude, and is applying to medical schools now. My youngest son is in the IB career-related program of IB Music and is a junior this year, wanting to pursue music in college. I am very proud to say that my kids attended Riverview, as it is a great school overall. I have been a very involved parent, and I'm currently the president of the IB Parent Organization. I have had many opportunities over the last 11 years to interact with the administration, teachers, ancillary staff, students, and parents. It's just amazing what goes on inside those school doors. And I can without a doubt say that everyone's goal at Riverview is to provide our kids with the best education and the most positive high school experience. In closing, the IB program has been an incredible experience for my children and can be for any student that chooses that path. Again, I'd like to thank you all for what you've done for us and will continue doing. Thank you.
Zach Bassett.
Zach Barrett. I've got some questions regarding the equity policy. How is it tracked and monitored? No transparency. I would like more information regarding the policy. Is the equity policy stating that you are trying to ensure that gifted education and accelerated programs are based more on diversity rather than actual IQ and ability? Surely, you stated earlier in the workshop that dress codes cannot be different from males and females. There are two genders, male and female. Now, Dr. Asplin, earlier you spoke about transparency. Is there really? Regarding Riverview High School, why was there no transparency to the public regarding the teachers whose house was raided for child pornography? Is this teacher still employed and now working at the administration building, having access to our children's files? We demand no vaccine clinics at our schools. They are institutions of learning, not medical facilities. Are people familiar with implied consent and what that actually means? We will protect the children of this community. And I'll close with this verse from the New King James Version, John 1:5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it.
No clapping. Michelle Posey.
Thank you, Michelle Posey, District 3. I had a whole speech written, but it's kind of pointless now. I think I'd rather just address you from my heart today. I'm kind of new to this. In August, that was my first board meeting I ever attended, and I've lived in Sarasota County 16 years. And I reached out to some of you to get to know you better because I wanted to be involved. My kids are older. Maybe I'm having a little bit of the emptiness syndrome, but wanted to find out how I could give back. And I met with some of you, I spoke with some of you, and I was just tickled because Shirley, we got to have brunch together. You agreed to do that with me. We had waffles, we joked that it was nutritional, and but you wanna know where some of this animosity came from, people? Do you remember the first thing you said to me when you came in? Are you vaccinated? You want to talk about things that make people uncomfortable and that maybe aren't public knowledge and maybe are protected? I understand your will to not want to be praying in public. I mean, I do understand that. I don't want to judge you for that, but this is why I can't hear the word equity come from any of you, because you can't even practice it yourself. It deeply hurts me that I was no more than vaccinated or unvaxxed, because I complimented you on your earrings. You looked brilliant, fabulous, teal green, brought out your eyes. I mean, you're just this ray of light. And that's what I was to you, was unvaccinated, which I am, by the way. It breaks my heart because I do believe that this is a great district. But the time for you to stand for that district, Dr. Asplin, was back in August, when everybody was running rogue, trying to grab a headline, masking. Ooh. That was when I needed that backbone you just showed. And I know you can do it again, and you guys, you know, the Bible says our latter days will be greater than our former. So I want to leave with this. I think we can do better, and we will do better. But I have to tell you, equity starts with your behavior. It's not a policy. It's either who you are or it's not. So start with your behavior. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Is it Steve Crump? Steve Crump, sorry. Jean. Sorry, Jean.
Mr. Superintendent, members of the board, my name is Gene Crump, and I'd like to begin by telling you a story about a wonderful young boy, young man for all purposes. It was a cold winter's morning, and it was raining, and the temperature was below zero, and the young man didn't want to go to school that day. And he rolled over and went back to sleep, and his mother called him from downstairs saying, "Breakfast is ready, please come down to go to school." And he thought for a while, and she came upstairs, and he still was moving, so she said, "You've got to go to school." And he was thinking about the weather and the rain, and he said, "Well, I'll give you 2 reasons why I'm not going to go to school today." And the first reason was, the students don't like me, and the teachers don't respect me. And she thought, well, you know, that's the history of things. People don't get along. And she thought about it more, and she said, well, I think you're going to school today, and I'll give you 2 reasons why you're going to school. She said, first, you're a wonderful young man. And second, you're the principal. So everybody thinks they know the other person's side, and that's not necessarily true. If we don't learn from history, in the unadulterated, unabridged history, we're doomed to repeat it. My wife and I educated our children and taught them a foreign language, taught them to read in that foreign language, taught them to speak in that foreign language, and more importantly, taught them to understand in that foreign language. And when they were finished and they had exercised all of that, we sent them to kindergarten. Because we're all teachers. We all teach our children what's right and what's wrong. We go to school, but the school is going to teach us, and we have to talk to our children about what they've learned. And we have to talk about what we teach them and what they remember. And my last statement to you as a school board member is, I think you're doing a good job. I may not agree with each one of you individually, but that's my prerogative. Your prerogative is to lead the school system, and you take the best advice you can, and you mull over that, and you make a decision. If I don't like the decision, I'll make my decision at voting time. But I'm not gonna yell at you, I'm not gonna raise my voice at you, I'm gonna support you. And if you don't do what I want, then I can make a decision. Thank you.
David Wilkins.
Good afternoon. I'm David Wilkins. So what does diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging have to do with reading, writing, and arithmetic? I fully support the proposed equity policy and applaud the work of Dr. Moore and the Equity Committee. The policy is clear, comprehensive, and speaks to an environment designed to advantage all children. But rather than engage in the specifics of that policy today, I thought I would speak to the broader question of why such a policy is essential. Before retirement and relocating to Sarasota, I worked for the Dow Chemical Company for 25 years. Among the several leadership roles I performed for Dow was as Director of Global Diversity. I also served as Vice President for Diversity at the National Office of the American Red Cross before returning to Dow to continue and conclude my career. So why was diversity an imperative for Dow and the American Red Cross? For Dow, like most global companies, the answer was profit. They wanted the best and the brightest everywhere they operated to beat the competition. The Red Cross similarly wanted the best emergency response professionals to meet their disaster response commitments. Both these organizations came to understand that failing to cast the widest net and hiring all qualified applicants hindered their objectives to be the best. I did this work across Europe, Africa, including South Africa after apartheid, South America, China, Russia, Taiwan, India, and Japan. And you'll not be surprised to hear that I heard the same question: why diversity? Fortunately, our employees were smart people who quickly, with some education from our office, came to see the competitive advantage. Who were the most receptive audiences? Young people. Who were the least receptive? People my age and above. Children enrolled in Sarasota schools today will compete for jobs at great organizations in the future. Those educated in a diverse, inclusive, and equitable environment will have a competitive advantage. Thank you.
Lisa Schur.
My name is Lisa Schur, and I have a child in the school district. I had the opportunity this morning to attend the school board workshop and to listen to Dr. Harriet Moore present the updated equity plan, which I had previously read in detail along with the underlying statutes. But before I had, read it, I thought, why do we even need an equity plan? Doesn't that just exist in and of itself? The answer, beside the fact that it helps ensure that we do have equality, is that it's mandated by federal law and state law. Section 1005 of the Florida statutes contains what is known as the Florida Educational Equity Act. The act states that no person in the state shall, on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, disability, religion, or marital status, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any public K through 20 education program or activity, or in any employment conditions or practices conducted by a public educational institution that received or benefits from federal or state financial assistance. So you didn't come up with this equity policy because you thought it was a good idea. We came up with it, or rather Dr. Moore came up with it, because it's required by the law. The Florida Department of Education requires that all district school boards develop, submit, and implement equity plans to comply with the statute. These equity plans are subject to periodic compliance reviews. The school district may lose funding if any non-compliance is not corrected. The equity policy ensures that all students have the same access to a high-quality education. Educational equity is defined in the policy as an educational system that ensures that all students have access to the opportunities, resources, and educational rigor they need throughout their educational career to maximize academic success. As the mother of an ESE child, this means a lot to me. One of the goals of this equity plan is to accelerate the learning of lower performing students through a commitment to allocating and aligning resources, interventions, and programs to student needs within the strategies and metrics of the goals of the strategic plan. I've heard many speakers over the last few weeks discuss the need to close the learning gap by bringing up the scores of low achievers, and I don't think any of us can disagree with that plan or that goal. Educational equity depends on two main factors: fairness and inclusion. Fairness implies that factors specific to one's personal conditions should not interfere with the potential of academic success. Inclusion refers to a comprehensive standard or policy that applies to everyone in a certain education system.
Thank you. Lois Wilkins.
Good morning, or good afternoon. I'm Lois Wilkins, and I wanted to take the opportunity to just tell you, This was a great day for me to actually watch one of your workshops and also the board meeting. This is actually, I cannot tell you how proud I am of you. And I am a community representative that just comes here to just support you. I do understand that there are controversial issues. Today, you happen to be talking about the Gifted and Talented program. When I was in Montgomery County, that was exactly the things that I used to address the Montgomery County School Board on matters of brown and black children and their access into some of these programming. Thank you, Dr. Moore, for having the opportunity to allow that conversation to take place. I also want to just tell you the equity, diversity, inclusion, as being the spouse of the Mr. Wilkins, who traveled around the world when he was in those capacities. I used to attend the school board meetings and the school classes of students in these programs. And he's right. It is the students who embrace diversity, inclusion, and come away with the feeling that your son came home proud and excited. That was actually many of the kids. We also did exchange programs around from South Africa, from the United Kingdom, from various different places of the classrooms we visited. And you'd be amazed at how these kids are able to step up. The IB program, the AP program, are all those kinds of skill sets that are done in these programs that contribute to that. Okay, so my time is short. I just wanted to give you my support.
Thank you. Wendy Vasquez.
Good afternoon. I'm glad that I'm speaking after you. My name is Wendy Vasquez, and I live in Sarasota County. I want to thank the board for tackling this difficult issue, and I'm sure the Diversity and Innovation Committee spent long hours discussing these issues. But there is one thing that she mentioned today, and I think there is one big issue also that has been unsolved for 50 years, is the achievement gap. The achievement gap with Hispanics. How many of you had, and just since everybody's telling you stories here, I had the honor to take care of 2 children. They were adopted. I was in the process of adopting them, and they were in Playa Vista Elementary School. Comparing the grades and average that they were in the curriculum that they were receiving in Playa Vista School versus my daughters, it was a total different story just to see how behind they were in classes, how behind they were in scores and test scores, and they were having all the help from the Sarasota County. And I'm also bringing the teachers, because I think you need to rely on what the teachers tell you and the data that they are providing to you for the Latinos. How many of those Latinos we can really compare the way how they are learning versus with Pine View School, Alta Vista Elementary School versus Pine View School? Why we don't grab third grade students from Playa Vista School or Fruitville Elementary, Latinos, and test them with the same equivalent with the Pine View School students? There is a big gap right there, and it hasn't been solved for 50 years. And I think the gap in test scores between Hispanics and Blacks versus Asians and whites is a big difference. And after 50 years of failure to resolve this issue, we can use innovation, because that's part of your program, right? And we can use it now. I understand that the LGBTQ community, whatever is the name, I'm sorry, families might have some privacy concerns, and they deserve all the respect. Don't take me wrong. I'm not disrespecting them, but I think that might slow this committee from making decisions. When those issues have data to demonstrate equity, and again, please rely on the teachers, because they are so wonderful. They have been so wonderful to my daughters and those foster kids. They can be added to your policy, but you have the data on the Hispanics, the African Americans, and the poor. Year after year, it doesn't really change. Please, don't make us wait. Create an equity policy for us quickly because we have waited too long. Thank you.
Marie Stolfus.
Board members, Dr. Asplin. First, on censoring public comment. Ms. Brown states public comment will still be 3 minutes unless the board at a meeting changes that. That means if the board feels like there's not enough time or they don't want to hear what parents have to say, they can limit our speech to 1 minute or move it to the end of the board meeting when the cameras have stopped recording. That's called censorship, and it limits our First Amendment rights. You do not want accountability, and newsflash, you are elected officials and the public does not have to be nice to you. Second, Ms. Goodwin stated, the NSBA in their letter did not mention domestic terrorism. That was never mentioned. It was not mentioned anywhere in that 5-page letter. Ms. Goodwin, you are either lying or extremely incompetent. I'm not sure which one. How can we trust you to know what's going on in our own school district? Ms. Goodwin, it is alleged that you solicited money from the PTAs at Pineview and Southside. Why would you take money that is allocated for students? Why did you make a naughty and nice list based on which school PTA donated money on your behalf? Third, the 5-year strategic plan. Why have measurable benchmarks not been released? The PIM should be made public. Why was this 5-year plan created by a company outside of the district? What school district has used this company, and what are the results? Fun fact, this company spearheading the strategic plan is headquartered in Saudi Arabia and headed up by a woke ex-Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation employee. Have we really done our homework? Fourth, regarding the Equity Committee and policy, a well-known Black professor states, the greatest threat to American society today is coming from the diversity, equity, and inclusion industry. It is steeped in critical race theory, which is Marxist and divides people. And when they talk about anti-racism, they're really talking about teaching white people to hate themselves, especially the children. This equity policy is Marxist at its core and big business. These doctors with their online degrees making lots of money off of equity committees nationwide. Let's backtrack and remind the public of how the equity policy was even created in Sarasota. October 6th, BLM activists protest outside of Sarasota County School Board chambers. October 19th, BLM activists sent a letter with a list of demands to Dr. Asplin and the Sarasota County School Board. In response to the BLM demand letter, Superintendent Asplin appointed Dr. Harriet Moore to lead this equity committee. Until today, the names of this committee have been kept secret and public, but appear to be composed of mainly BLM activists. The committee is allowed to meet in secret without any transcript, recording, or under sunshine laws. Now, this equity committee has produced Sarasota Schools' new equity policy, which grants all of the BLM demands. The demand letter bullet points are almost word for word when compared to the new equity plan. This is what your tax money is being spent on. If you pass the referendum, you're only giving more money to Dr. Harriet Moore, her BLM Marxist communist agenda.
Thank you.
It will ruin our
Thank you. You're done. You're finished.
Ms. Bakandi, if you could send me that letter, because I've never seen it. And BLM has nothing to do with Harriet Moore. I did that all on my own through a couple of conversations with superintendents. And as far as Saudi Arabia is concerned, I looked into that. That is untrue. And Bill Gates, that is untrue as well. If you have facts to give to me, please do that. Thank you very much.
Donald Carson.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? Thank you for the opportunity to come here. I'm not really sure why you let us here because you obviously don't want to hear us. It's so hard to sit here and listen to this complete bull. You say you care about the parents, you say you care about the students, you say you care about the community, but you don't. You're choosing which and who you care about, and you're silencing others. I'm here today on behalf of my daughter, who was told to write a story about murder in her class. And the kids, they looked up serial killers in the class on company computers, classroom, school computers. They looked up serial killers to learn how to do this story. I brought it to the attention of the teacher. I brought it to the attention of the principal. I brought it to the attention of the board. And you people don't care. You are playing with fire. You are going to destroy this community. You are literally going to destroy it. You're sitting there playing games with people's lives like this is a joke. This is not a joke. These are people's lives. My kids deserve the same treatment. They deserve equity. They deserve all these bold words that you're throwing out there that don't mean crap. You don't care about anybody but yourself. And it's garbage. So that's what I got to say.
Thank you.
Literally sucks.
Thank you.
Mr.
Ashley Cody.
Mr. Renoff, can you please talk to this gentleman about that letter? I'd like to solve that problem. No, I'm not. He's going to come talk to you because I don't know anything about that. So he's our chief academic officer. He's going to talk to you so we can solve the problem. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Appreciate it.
Carol Lerner. I'm sorry. Ashley Cody. Sorry, Ashley.
Ashley Cody, controversy. I mean, that's, what else do we say to that? Parents feel like they're not being heard. So I had this whole thing written, but I actually want to piggyback off that because third graders with the state reading are reading about murders. Midnight at the Bark Lake Hotel, about a murder that happened, and the child's mother is convicted of the said murder, and the child is trying to figure out how to get his mom off the hook and figure out who the real murderer is. So, third grade, okay? So I don't know what age this is, but this is what's happening. We've seen other books. I've shown you other books that are happening in the schools too. And we talk and we try to make things good for all. So what I was mainly wanting to talk about was the equity committee. I am on the equity committee. Other people who have spoken have not said that they're on it, but they are here, and they're in support of it, and I am in support of it. However, I think that this is more for politicizing things. I hope we follow the data. I hope we don't run into an issue like we had last year with the professional development programs, because this all started with controversy over professional development. So I know Dr. Moore has worked her butt off with this, and we all have. It's hard when you're a part of a group that might have more say in it than, let's just say there's more people for one side than the other. And it's hard to speak up when you feel like that. So I don't see how that's equitable either. So moving forward, I hope that we can stick to making sure it's fair for all, it's equally balanced, again, equity. But the data, I hope that there's some data that's gone around stating that it's actually hurt the gap. And I just found this over the weekend, and I've been looking at it. But I hope that we can look at the data, make sure we're on the right page. Whoever is put in charge at the schools, we are really holding them accountable to the data, because this should be data-driven. I don't feel like it should be based off of race, but again, I've been told that it's for, that's per the state. The categories are from the state. I think it should be more on, sorry.
Thank you, Ashley. Carol Lerner.
Good afternoon, Dr. Asplin, board. My name is Carol Lerner. I'm the chair of Protect Our Public Schools, Minnesota. I want to give a little disclaimer about what I'm going to say today. People might think that I had an advanced copy of Dr. Asplin's comments today. I did not, but I would like to thank him because I think what he said was very insightful. I'm entitling what I'm going to say is The Topsy-Turvy Nonsense World of the Mad Hatter. When I hear my fellow Sarasota residents from groups like Moms for Liberty or Unmasked Florida speak about equity, inclusion, and critical race theory, I am reminded of the words of the Mad Hatter in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland through the Looking Glass, when the Mad Hatter said, "If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't. And contrary-wise, what is, it wouldn't be. And what it wouldn't be, it would." You see? Yes, I see. So when Moms for Liberty leaders condemn the draft equity policy that Dr. Harriet Moore so aptly put together as a, quote, new racist equity policy, unquote, that's the Mad Hatter speaking nonsense. And when Unmasked Florida members claim that diversity, equity, and inclusion, quote, divides us, unquote, that is the Mad Hatter speaking nonsense again. Then there is a perpetual speaker here, a person running for Congress, you know who I mean, who calls all things related to equity as, quote, woke, unquote.
It is woke.
As if the idea of creating a more level playing field that is caring and where children feel a sense of belonging is some type of left-wing plot. Welcome to the world of Mad Hatter. How did critical race theory, an academic tool developed by legal scholars to uncover systemic racism, become a tool that promotes racism? Ask the Mad Hatter. He'll explain it as part of his upside-down world. Then there is the condemnation of social-emotional learning. It's not mentioned in the equity policy, but it is a big part of the 5-year strategic plan, which is also condemned by the same people who mocked the equity report. I know social-emotional learning well because I taught it for many years. It teaches kindness, tolerance, self-awareness, self-control, all good things. But ask many critics in this audience, and they'll give you a Mad Hatter answer saying it's bad because it's based on mind control and CRT. Nonsense again. In the end, Alice wakes up from her dream, her fantasy world, and the world of the Mad Hatter.
Thank you. Robin Taub Williams.
Wake up.
Tolerance limit is decency.
Robin Taub Williams with POPs. I taught biology for 35 years. My first teaching assignment was in a Black working class neighborhood of Philadelphia. The school was severely underfunded for even bare necessities. When I had students needing extra educational help, counseling, or medical services, there was nothing available. The last 23 years of my career, I worked in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, in a very well-funded, affluent white district. My room was equipped with the latest technology, and I could order whatever lab supplies were needed. It could cost thousands of dollars compared to an annual budget of only $25 in Philadelphia. In Bucks County, I had immediate access to a range of support services for any student, many of whom already had outside services through their family's resources. A tale of two cities, or rather one city and one town, only a half hour apart, but worlds away. In the many months of the COVID pandemic, many of our Sarasota families have been hit hard. White, Black, Latino, Asian. For all children to do well, teachers must have resources available to ensure that all our students can have their needs met so they can be successful. As an educator, I strongly support the equity plan to fulfill the state mandate to help close an achievement gap from the earliest ages and provide services that all children need, especially those whose families are struggling economically. Diversity training is important for teachers to provide an optimal learning environment for all our children so they can achieve their full potential. Delivery Ed will assist the district with developing metrics to assess the level of success in meeting the strategic plan. Yet conspiracy media provocateurs have spread falsehoods that there's some Saudi connection and an Egyptian CEO for Delivery Ed. It's utter nonsense. I must also comment on the vitriol and hate speech I've heard for months at these board meetings. There's been an ugly, calculated political campaign strategy to win elections by creating scapegoats out of thin air. As a Jew who lost most of her father's side of the family in the Shoah, my antennae go up when I hear bigoted remarks and the creation of phantom enemies. In fact, the speeches have been so hateful over a non-existent CRT program and against LGBTQ+ students that I am strongly suggesting that the school district also use the Anti-Defamation League's No Place for Hate program. Florida schools have some Holocaust education, but unless you can look at what's happening in front of your eyes with a historic lens, you'll miss the dangerous parallels and repeat bias crimes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. John Wilson.
Philly is liberal run, Bucks County isn't.
Stop the talking, please.
John Wilson. First, I want to say congratulate Dr. Moore, if she's still here. I believe in her. I loved her equity, and I believe that it can be successful. The reason I do believe it can be successful is because two of you have been on this board for 15 and 11 years. Do you know the achievement gap hasn't been closed at all? We're leaving behind all of the poor schools while we go in and we put smoke and mirrors in front of the arts and the STEM and the STEAM. Wilkinson has this. Everybody has something, but those schools are not proficient at reading and math. And I believe that Dr. Moore will go ahead and get the tools needed to bring the poor, lower income schools back into the game plan with everybody else. So I'm behind you, Dr. Moore, and I'll follow you until you end up doing the same thing Shirley and Jane did, which is nothing. So I got your back. I will follow everything that you got because I'm going to bring these kids with you. But until then, I'm just there. But the parents don't want what you guys have put forward the past 15 years.
Thank you. Paulina Testerman.
Good afternoon. My name is Paulina Testerman. I am the parent of two children who attend Sarasota County Public Schools. I wanted to come and speak today and let the board know that I have read the proposed Sarasota County School Board equity policy and I support all aspects of the draft. In spite of what the detractors of the policy may say, Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines the word equity as fairness and justice in the way people are treated. Nothing more, nothing less. So if you're anti-equity, you're anti-fairness and anti-justice, period. If you're clutching your pearls every time someone says the word equity, it's because you want the deck stacked in your child's favor and you don't want every child to have a level playing field. What I find the most fascinating is that here we have the school board who has appointed Dr. Moore as the Director of Innovation and Equity and has appointed her as the chair of the District Equity Committee, whose goal is to implement cultural responsibility. While one of our very own school board members recently spoke at the University of Dallas objecting to everything that Dr. Moore is trying to implement today, it seems a bit disingenuous to create a role and a job title for Dr. Moore and then try to sabotage her efforts by publicly speaking out against everything that she is trying to do. Isn't it our school board's responsibility to ensure that all students are treated fairly and just, I certainly hope that all 5 school board members agree on that sentiment. But the video I watched last night paints a starkly different picture. Why is the left hand objecting to what the right hand is doing? I've spent a lot of time reflecting on why anyone would object to fairness and justice for all students. The conclusion that I came to is that many of our residents can only judge the world based on their own life experiences, and they cannot fathom a different life experience. While many would look at me and assume that I am simply a white woman, my history is a bit more complicated. I am an immigrant. I am a refugee. English is my second language. I participated in ESL classes in public schools. Ultimately, I was diagnosed with learning deficits. This means that I meet the criteria for 5 of the protected categories in the equity policy: nationality, language, culture, socioeconomic, and learning disability. I know firsthand what it means to need resources to ensure that my educational playing field was level and that my educational experience was comparable to the education that my peers were receiving. I implore the board and the citizens of Sarasota to stop regurgitating what the talking heads have told you. Equity doesn't mean less for your child. It simply means fairness or justice in the way all students are treated. Thank you.
Thank you. Jules Scholes.
Hello, my name is Jules Scholes, and I'm the parent of a Sarasota student. I wanted to thank Dr. Moore for all of her hard work on creating a plan to ensure equity here in the Sarasota School District. I suspected that we would be hearing quite a few buzzwords today, as those who have never studied CRT have used their time to bastardize and redefine its actual meaning. As I understand it, CRT is a college-level course that examines the intersection of race and law in the United States. And from what I can tell, those who fear CRT see it as some sort of liberal or woke agenda to make kids who wouldn't have normally been marginalized feel guilty. That's not true. I am asking you to define CRT. Use the scholars you have at this meeting to define it, because it has become the boogeyman buzzword catch-all for anything that makes a conservative parent uncomfortable. Now they want to lump equity, SEL, and accurate historical learning into CRT. Equity in education merely strives to ensure that all students receive the resources they need so they can move on from high school and have success. That is all it is. I do not see any sort of hidden agenda in it. If you are a parent who has a problem with equity, come before this board and oppose equity, but do not oppose CRT. They are not the same thing. Another buzzword or phrase that's under attack by these same parents is SEL. SEL just gives kids the tools to be, emotionally intelligent, empathetic, and care about other people. That's all it is. And I don't understand how this is a bad thing. However, if we're going to cry indoctrination at every turn just because certain parents feel their child's worldview should only be shaped by those whose political and spiritual ideologies are in line with their own, you need to come up to this board and say, I oppose SEL, not CRT. They are not the same thing. Lastly, if you do not want your child to learn about the atrocities that have been committed on American soil, then you need to come up here and you say that I want my child shielded from the truth, not that you oppose CRT. They are not the same thing. We should be more worried about our children not learning from history's mistakes than we should be about teaching them the truth. We need to support our schools, or we're going to end up with Moms for Liberty putting bounties on our teachers here like they did in New Hampshire. Thank you, Brandon.
Brian Gibbs. Brian Gibbs.
My name is Brian Gibbs. I'm a 17-year resident of Sarasota. I'm a local pastor and a shepherd in this community as well. I love our city deeply. I'm here for the children. I'm here simply for the precious hearts and the minds and the souls of our kids. I'm also here to fight off the wolves. My prayer is that there will be light. Let there be light. That is my prayer over our schools, our kids, our coaches, our faculty, our education of Sarasota County. The light of God that is uncovering all of the woke agenda, the twisted principles of equality and equity, the indoctrination and filth that we are presently pushing on our kids. I want to be clear about this, that God did not send me to this community to be respectable. God sent me to this community to be responsible. It is not about my reputation. I'm not here to defend my reputation. You can call me a hater. You can call me a bigot, a homophobe, whatever. I'm not moved by that, but I am moved by the hearts and the precious children of our community. And some of this board are illegitimate leaders, which is pitiful. And you're trying to pervert our kids and bringing indoctrination, and frankly, you're trying to even cover up those who you know are dangerous to our kids. You don't deserve the privilege of shaping and developing and nurturing the minds and the hearts of our kids. So again, let me be clear. My prayer is let there be light, the kind of light that brings exposure, the kind of light that brings true judgment that you are trying to cover and hide, and exposure to teachers that have been covered up, that have brought harm to kids. I say let there be light to the teachers, the faculties that are so hell-bent on celebrating the shameful embracing our differences, Black Lives Matter, the sexual immorality and perversion of the LGBTQ, including the CRT, which is bleeding and blending right into the SEL, and you know it is, bringing confusion to our kids and not even teaching them the true, accurate history of our beloved America. I'm here for rescuing the children. I want to make that very clear. I'm here for rescuing the children. Lastly, I want to say this. I pray that there is a thorough house cleaning and removal of those that are dangerous to our kids in all realms and spheres of authority in this district. And I pray that God will raise up God-fearing, God-loving leaders that will speak with truth, that will teach real history, and keep real integrity.
Sit down, please. No standing up. Sit down, please. Sit down. In the blonde head in the back, I've already warned you once. I will have you removed. No, there's no standing up.
Oh my God, now we got it. We've had Nazi tyrants.
Sit down, please, ma'am. Sit down, please.
Everybody has to sit, correct? Then they need to sit too, right? Because what's fair for me is what's fair for them, what's fair for them is fair for me.
Now you've disrupted by talking. Please remove her from the audience.
Stretching their legs.
Officer, please remove her. Remove her, please. Remove them, please. I'm serious. Clear the audience, please. Move the audience, clear the audience. You were doing so well, and now you have to start something like this. Please clear the audience for 5 minutes. Clear the audience, please. I'm calling a 5-minute recess. Let's reconvene the meeting. I hope that you all can behave, and please keep quiet. No clapping, no standing, no talking. We have another hour or so of these. Sounds like fun. All right, next is Bryn Gibbs.
My name is Bryn Gibbs. First off, let me set the record straight and say that I am not here speaking to all of you. I am here speaking to all of you as leaders in this community over education. And I don't have to be accepting of your leadership. I can accept you as citizens. I can be gracious to you as a neighbor. I can be kind to you in passing and in conversation, but I don't have to be accepting of your leadership. Stop playing the emotional card and crying out for love and acceptance as a leader. That isn't how it works. Scripture says in James 3, teachers and leaders are held at a higher account and will be judged more strictly and harshly. If you read the words of Jesus, he did not mince words concerning the teachers of his day. He wasn't always kind and accepting. I want to speak to you today about the right of conscience. James Madison called conscience part of our private property, and that conscience and religion go hand in hand. George Washington said we should be very cautious of violating the rights of conscience in others. John Jay, who was our first Supreme Court Chief Justice, said that the Constitution secured the rights of our conscience. One of the school board members gave a prime example of the right of conscience in a previous board meeting. Her conscience was so strong to not pray in public that she chose to leave the room of a board meeting that she was chairing in order to follow her religious beliefs and convictions. No one stopped her from having that right. But what if a child wasn't given that same right of conscience? What if someone made a child sit there and disrespect their right of conscience? That is what you are doing to many students and families in the public school system. You are taking away their freedom of religion, conscience, and speech by trying to push your beliefs upon them. If government doesn't want to teach religion in their schools, then they should not be teaching conscience either. We are a republic with documents that dictate this nation. We are not a democracy of opinions. Religion is based on what God says and not what someone else's opinion is. This is why you have people coming here time and time again. This is why you have organizations popping up in this region fighting for their rights given by God and this nation's founding documents. This isn't about opinions. They are not going rogue. You have already gone rogue. You are overstepping your authority concerning religion, conscience, students' health and bodies, and parental rights and jurisdictions. I encourage you today to change. Again, we are judging your character and leadership here.
Thank you. Teresa DeWitt.
Okay, I'm Teresa DeWitt, and I'm the Vice Chair for Moms for Liberty. And I really want to talk about the Unite Us contract, and it's only about the informed consent. There was some confusion. We were here till like 9 o'clock one night, and everyone was trying to really wrap their heads around this contract, and everyone was talking about the legal aspect. Was that in place? And so anyway, I just kind of want to talk about the mental health piece of that. And I do have one for all of you. It's just the informed consent. Excuse me. So one of the concerns is that in this informed consent, there on the second paragraph, it talks about, it says, I'm just going to read this. The school seeks to enter information the school either already possesses or obtains from you into the UU platform, which is Unite Us. Then it says you could include personal identifying information, medical information, emotional, mental health, student information, health or immunization information pertaining to incidents that have occurred, information related to the needs for services. Once the information is entered into the UU platform by the school, the information will be available to a variety of service providers, licensees, and other UU users who can potentially perform relevant services and for you and your student. Okay, so one of the first things, the information entered by the school will be available to UU and its agents, including government agencies for mental health services here. Once the school enters the information, the school has no control over the information, nor does the school have control over the information that other service providers, licensees, or users enter into the UU platform. That's concerning. The school, excuse me, for the information to be removed, the school cannot guarantee that the information will be removed. The school will enter the information in good faith that it, excuse me, let me back up. Information provided by you may or may not be entered. The school will enter information in good faith that it believes is relevant to the issues you're experiencing or services available. The school will not select, vouch for, or vet the services or service providers associated with the platform. The school makes no warranties regarding the UU platform or its technical capabilities, the secureness of the information. The last thing is it is responsible of you to independently vet the services. So it's up to the parents to decide if the services are appropriate when the school is referring the program. So let me wrap up. The school board states they have no liability. Unite Us on the contract and First Steps contracts also state they have no liability. So one of my big questions is who has the liability?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Heather Heddleston.
Deb, can you please assist her with that? I'd like to see that.
Hello, my name is Heather. First of all, I would like to address the contract for the TAG program that is being run by Javier Godfried. Why are we paying this man $40,000 a month to indoctrinate our children? I don't understand that. Basically, this is a movement to cause division within our children, not to unite them. We're supposed to be united. We're supposed to, everyone's supposed to get along. And this TAG program and also this equity thing, it's just a way to cause division. I see it as more racist than anything. I'm sorry. Same with CRT. I also would like to address the fact of the pedophilia that is in our schools. Hence, that's why I wore my Save the Children t-shirt, because most of y'all are complicit in it, I'm sure. We have books, and I actually have a list here of 22 books that are found in our library that all have to do with pedophilia. Everywhere Babies, Almost Perfect, Tango Makes Three, Beloved, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, Fly on the Wall, and the list goes on and on. What are these books doing in our school libraries? They should not be allowed. Y'all need to get back to math, reading, science, the real history, teaching our Constitution and about the real things that actually occurred in our history, not this made-up history that y'all are trying to teach. You are dividing people even more, and we see it. We see it with BLM, we see it with Antifa, and the conservatives. And your indoctrination is affecting our communities and our children, and we are going to continue to fight. So you do have a battle on your hands, and we will vote every one of y'all out, come next year, because all y'all need to leave off the board. You guys have no business. First, y'all don't even have kids probably in the school district, I think, except maybe one, Bridget. But to get back to this, y'all, I'm sorry, but the pedophilia in our schools, who is in charge of the chain of command? Who is in charge of hiring our teachers and hiring these people? This is disgusting. As far as I'm concerned, if you're not against it, you're with it.
Mr.
Julie
Renoff,
Halbert.
can you please meet with her and find out more about those books? Thank you very much.
I also think the $40,000 a month was inaccurate, wasn't it? Wasn't it a $40,000
It's
annual contract? There was an error in the.
yeah, it's 40,000 per year, so
Not
there
to
was-
exceed
must have been an error if
40,000
there
in a year. Was she Julie Halbert? Was that Julie Halbert? No. Julie Halbert. Julie Halbert last time, last call. Heather Mayo.
Ready? Good afternoon. My name is Mayo, and my background is in criminal justice. This is my daughter. Her name is Ginger. I was working on September 11th and will never forget that day. That is why I appear before you for a second time. I'm witnessing an assault taking place on our children and every board member up there. You all are going to be held accountable for that. You're considered the perpetrators. I cannot and will not sit by idly and remain silent. You're in violation of the U.S. Constitution, the Nuremberg Code, and so many other city, state, and federal ordinances that I have lost count. You've been given clear instructions of what those laws are by our governor, and you are still blatantly marching to the beat of your own drums, ignoring laws as if you don't understand them. May I remind everyone in this room that ignorance of the law does not excuse you. Friends in high places, DNC money, and the Department of Justice cannot save you from perpetrating and aiding and abetting one of the most vile attacks on the American family and Florida's children. I will not stay silent until you are all brought to justice. To quote Dr. David Martin, PhD, you are publicly admitting to us all that technology in the name of science is worth more than murdering 5-year-olds. And like him, I find that highly unacceptable. We will no longer energize the forces of darkness by anonymizing them and staying silent. As you are familiar with the term follow the money in a police investigation, there is evidence here. Patents, published books, medical journals clear for the world to read that exposes COVID-19, vaccines, passports, mask mandates as pre-planned as early as 2011, but clearly a steadfast plan at the end of Obama's administration in 2015. There is massive evidence of a criminal conspiracy of domestic terror globally, but particularly against America and its citizens to include genocide for financial gain. Is this really the legacy you all want to be remembered by? For selfish greed and gluttony? I will fight for my country and the freedom with every fiber of my being, and I'm teaching her to do the same. I'm the granddaughter of a World War II fighter pilot in the United States Air Force. I'm the daughter of a Vietnam veteran, U.S. Navy veteran, and the sister of an Army veteran. My familial culture is public service. Where we go one, we go all. I'm a mother and a child of God. I'm required to share this with the world and put you all on notice that I will protect my child and all other children with anything I have and at any cost. I walk unafraid of reprisal and strong in my faith.
Thank you, that's fine. Jules Scholas. Jules Scholas. Jules Scholas. Melissa Radovich.
Hello again. Dr. Asplin, do you think that we enjoy coming to these meetings? Because we don't. Like, my baby's pitching right now and I'm missing it. This is the last place I want to be. Don't you think it's bizarre that we're all here and we've been doing this for about a year and a half? It's kind of new because you guys have lost your minds, some of you. We don't want to be here, but we need to because we're concerned about our children. This equity policy is not aimed towards underperforming or overperforming children or low income. It's not about ESE. If you read it, this policy promotes belonging with respect to race, color, gender, sex, gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. That's how it reads in our schools. How will you promote race in schools or gender identity? How will you do that? And why is this back in our schools? To me, the district will reevaluate recruitment procedures and update job descriptions to recruit and retain staff who reflect the racially and culturally diverse community. To me, it sounds like you want to hire based on race, which I'm pretty sure is illegal. It is not in the best interest of the students to promote differences in race or sexuality. Also, it was mentioned that Sarah Weatherman is a member of this equity committee. She's the executive director of Embracing Our Differences, which I spoke about last time, and their BLM and their CRT all over their website. So I'm a little concerned that they're continually involved with our schools and our kids. But I promise, if we can get just through 1 month without discussing topics that don't belong in schools, I'll stop coming. I will. If we could stop doing the social justice warrior thing in our schools, you won't have to deal with any of this. It won't be LGBT against people who don't want LGBT in schools. It won't be people who want race in schools versus people that just respect everybody equally. We will stop coming, and y'all's lives can go back to normal if we can just focus on the education of our children, then maybe the intelligence levels of our students would benefit and our educational community could heal. Thank you.
Nick Radovich.
How are you this evening? I think that you, Miss Brown, should apologize for publicly doxing a conservative family in your school district. And I think you, Miss Ziegler, should explain why you called for the arrest of those who peacefully protested at Miss Brown's house. You then proceeded to call these families jackasses. We may not all get along, but let's not get out of hand here. We may not agree on tactics which certain parents use to make their voices heard, but if no laws are broken, then I think we should respectfully agree to disagree. Thank you.
Larry Wilson. Larry Wilson. Linda Wilson. Lisa Thompson.
My name is Lisa Thompson. My husband and I, with our 4 children, moved to West Villages, Welland Park, in 2018. We chose this area because of the school district's reputation. But my children never made it to public school system, thankfully, due to your mask mandates. I'm here today because even though my children are in private school, because of your propaganda teaching and indoctrinating agenda, it still affects my kids. These kids are in my neighborhood, and the stuff that they're learning, and I'm hearing out of my neighbors' kids that are 10 and 11 years old, and I'm trying to protect them from some of this stuff. Like, like a 10, 11-year-old little girl who's calling herself a binary, and her name is Ken. I have to explain this stuff to my babies, my 7-year-old. Do you have any idea what this is doing to our world? And you know, I listened to your workshop today. It was the first one I listened to. And I was thinking, like, they really don't see it. Like, you all really don't see that you're doing anything wrong. And I did believe that till I walked in to hear the whatever that was screaming at us to be quiet. Sorry. I really want to believe that you want to do the right thing. But you're being directed by the wrong people, the wrong foundations, and the wrong controllers. Have you done that research? Do you know who these people are of these foundations? Because some of us do. We've done the research on some of these people. And I would really hope that you all are doing the same. Because I don't want to believe that you're all bad people and that you're doing this to destroy our God-given, created world. But you're doing it. And know, Dr. Asplund, that we are not the minority, even if you might think so, and maybe it looks that way at your 3 o'clock board meetings. But we are the silent majority, and there are a lot of us, and we're watching, and we are awake. Thank you.
William Woodson. William Woodson. Lisa Merritt.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me okay? I'd prefer not to remove my mask. I'm Dr. Lisa Merritt. I am licensed in 7 states. I graduated from Georgetown with honors, Howard Med School, trained in family community medicine at University of California, San Francisco, and medical school at and specialty at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas. My daughter, Amara, was a student here. She was triply identified as a special student. She was identified as gifted. Dr. Kingsley, bless her heart, helped us to find out that she also had a visual impairment, and we had special accommodations for that, and she also has complex medical conditions. I'm pleased to say that she was able to graduate and get a full scholarship to RISD, and that she has illustrated a book, and she has also had artwork published in major museums. So I totally agree and support the importance of leveling the playing field for our children is my starting point as a physician and as a mom. We need these children. We need all of the future that we can have for us to be competitive as a country. We're falling far behind when it comes to STEAM careers. It requires people who can innovate and think and critically analyze. And we have to teach our children to do that and not just become passive absorbers of information through various unsubstantiated sources. I also come to speak to you on the importance of building the pipeline for the future and what our country is going to look like and grow into if we're going to all have any hope. And I have been working across the country in the last year and a half. And I'm here to tell you that this is very real. I'm here to tell you until you can look at me and say that you have held the hand of a 94-year-old to comfort him because his 47-year-old son died, or the woman who didn't want to get vaccinated and contributed the COVID to the death of her husband, or the mother who did not get to see her child until 3 months after she came off of the ventilator because she had COVID at the time of delivery and didn't know it. And you put the baby in her mother's arms. Until you can have those experiences, don't talk to me about COVID or masks or vaccinations or anything. I'm here to tell you that unvaccinated people are 11 times more likely to die, 10 times more likely to be hospitalized, and this is what we're seeing now because the majority of people who are hospitalized with COVID are unvaccinated. We are seeing in Europe where we've had a surge. Yes, there's 2 million new cases. It's a big surge in the last week. And I wish for you to know that the death rates are stable because vaccinated people are protected. And we're very pleased with that. I want to speak to the fact that I hope that we will work on vaccinating our children because they are the next. And that's your choice. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beeper. Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexis Spiegelman.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis Spiegelman. I am Sarasota County Chapter Chair of Moms for Liberty. I would just like to say the topic of the panel that Ms. Ziegler spoke on at the University of Dallas was CRT, but Sarasota County insists it's not in our schools. Now it's synonymous with our equity committee. As I reviewed your 2021 equity policy, what struck me most was the lack of any historical data supporting the creation of this committee. Essentially, Sarasota taxpayers are being asked to endorse an experimental ideological policy written by a largely secret committee who for the past 4 months failed to conduct the most basic research necessary for developing a successful strategy to close the achievement gap. What was reported by our newly formed equity committee this morning, who strangely focused predominantly on strategies impacting high school students when data confirms that grades 1 through 3 are most crucial to determining future academic success, Sarasota County increased the achievement gap. This should not be surprising given that all the data we have suggests that equity committees actually make the achievement gap worse. The Educational Opportunity Project at Stanford University has student test scores data available for virtually every school district in the country. The analysis presented here suggests that the existence of diversity officers in schools districts may actually exacerbate achievement gaps. In other words, diversity officers may be implementing counterproductive educational interventions. A simple comparison with achievement gaps in districts with and without diversity programs shows that gaps are larger in districts that employ these programs. In districts without a diversity programs, the average black student is 1.9 grade levels behind the average white student on standardized test results. In districts with diversity programs, the achievement gap is half a grade level larger, with the average black student being 2.4 grade levels behind the average white student. This pattern repeats itself for the white Hispanic and the non-poor poor achievement gaps. The gap between the average white and Hispanic student on standardized tests is 0.44 or nearly half grade level larger in districts with a diversity program than in our districts without them. The gap between the average non-poor and poor students is 0.37 grade levels larger in districts with diversity programs than in those without them. I find the school board's approach to non-discrimination, well, a bit discriminatory. The process of picking and choosing which non-discrimination precepts to uphold based on which groups of people they are designated to protect from discrimination is in fact discriminatory. We cannot create an entire department for one group of people while ignoring our ESE students in the name of equity. It is hypocritical for our board to break the non-discrimination clause in Section 6 of the Department of Health Emergency Rule, segregating masked and unmasked students, then launch an entire program based on the non-discrimination statute. The non-discrimination clause referenced as the basis for founding your equity committee does not at all call for a committee to be created. It calls for data to be collected. Again, you would think that if the district was going to go beyond what the statute calls for, they would first gather data to determine the proper course. Could it be the forces behind the concept also subscribe to the notion that we can eliminate racism by employing more racism? Thank you.
Thank you. Joshua Pierce. I have these 2 cards that were collected late. Next time, make sure that the cards are in by the time the meeting starts, please. That's all right. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead with them anyway.
My name is Joshua Pierce with Berserker Patriot Store.
A lot of you know who I am. As a matter of fact, 63 million people in America know exactly who I am. I go to every school board meeting in the state of Florida. This is what I do. Normally, my beautiful white dog is with me, but against the Americans with Disability Act, I was refused for bringing my service animal in with me today because I didn't have her papers, even though she's tagged and marked. Okay, so we're going to go into the fact that I was here for a CRT, and I was here for the fact that you're teaching puberty, menstruation, and masturbation to our children in 4th and 5th grade, which is not your job. So let's just knock that off right now, and that's on the Sarasota School Board's website. So we're going to go into ratification of reassessment of students to schools, which you just basically changed CRT, equality, inequality, equity to naming it this. And just for reference, I'll pull up for you exactly what it says and what that stands for. Here's what, I'm going to give you what's in red. Basically, Jesus should be saying this. To improve black children's trajectories. This does not include white people. It says it right here. This does not include white kids. That's racism. We do not need to teach our children, because they're white, they're oppressors. Because you're black, you're oppressed. Black people are just as smart as us. Do you not understand that? Some of my best friends are black. They were in school right next to me, and they were honor students. Okay, we don't need to teach our children to be racist. We offer an alternative to the parents at Berserk Patriot Store. We will give your kids the right schooling. We will open a school, and we will build a prison to take these tyrants out of office. You're fired as far as I'm concerned. You will no longer be on this board. You have 30 days to cease and desist. I am the Berserker Militia, and we will come and arrest you as the Constitution demands us to if you don't cease and desist your tyranny. Plain and simple. I came here for more things than that today. You give us 3 minutes. Are you freaking kidding me? 3 minutes to say something? You can't even speak paragraphs in a matter of minutes, okay? And you know this. And you're all up here smiling like this is a joke. I have 2 million members in my militia. If you think that you can stand against us, if anybody in this state can stand against us, you're wrong. I have 63 million followers on social media, okay? We are the majority. The largest majority of this room stood up whenever. It was the smallest majority that stood up and clapped for you. It's the largest majority that stood up and clapped for us, okay? I have land, I have property, I have buildings. I will offer better schooling for your children, and I will teach them not to be racist and that we are all equal and that we are all great for this world. We'll make it great again, right? Because that's what we're gonna do. That's all I have to say. Man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Narishka Harvey. Thank you. Thank you. Please leave.
Greetings. My name is Attorney Narisha Harvey, and I stand before you as a mother of 2 beautiful children in the Sarasota County School District. I have a 9th grader who has a 3.75 GPA. I have at a charter school. I have a daughter that is at Pineview and has a 10th grader, 4.5 GPA. And I stand before you as a mother's heart who aches. Some people ask why an equity plan is necessary. The reason why the equity plan is necessary is because I had to explain to my black son at 13 years old why he did not get accepted to Suncoast Polytechnical High School because he was black and because he had an IEP. My son had a high GPA. He had stellar reviews from recommendations. But when I dug deeper, I found that, and these are statistics from the board, that between 2016 and 2021, Suncoast Polytechnical High School only admitted in 6 years 79 black children out of and 2,361 white children. Inequities. 2021, which is the year my child was denied access, 14 black children were accepted, 356 white children were accepted. So when people ask, why is the equity plan needed? That's a prime example. Pineview, I stand before you. I love Pineview. I have a petition here with over 800 signatures from alumni, parents, and students with solutions, equitable solutions, and discussing race tensions that have fell on deaf ears. We have attorney Sarah Castro, who sent a letter, and I have a copy of that as well, to Dr. Covert, August 21st, 2021, no response. My daughter, who is multi-ethnic, she's had her hair pulled because her hair looks different. She's been pushed into garbage cans. She's been kicked because of how she looks. 4.5 GPA, 10th grade. This is why the equity plan is needed. However, I do have other questions. One, I would like to know, how was the equity committee composed? And the reason for that is because I met with Suncoast Polytech's executive director, Dr. Polio, if I'm not mistaken, and Dr. Harriet Moore, and my mother and I.
Thank you. And that completes our hearing of citizens.
Steve.
Dr. Asplin? Did you have a comment, sir?
No, I just asked Steve if he would get with this lady. Are we ready to move on to the next item?
The next item is the approval of corrections to the consent agenda. Do we have any corrections to the consent agenda, Dr. Asplin?
Yes, Ms. Goodwin, an addendum was added to item number 8, the instructional classified personnel report.
All right. May I have a motion, please, for the approval of the consent agenda?
Move the consent agenda as amended.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any comments? Please vote if voting works. Not working for me.
Refresh it. There we go.
We'll take a verbal vote. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. The motion carries unanimously. Today, we have a shorter version of the agenda. Let me get further down here. We do not have any new business. Do we have any comments? Shirley Brown.
Yes, I just wanted to respond to Michelle Posey. You had mentioned that I asked you if you were vaccinated. We were sitting across from each other. I was sitting down during high transmission rate, and I wanted to know whether or not I should take off my mask or sit across from you or down from you. And I explained that when we talked. I did not want to sit across from you if you were not vaccinated. I moved to the corner because if you wanted to talk to me, I had to take that action. And I'm sorry that you were offended by that, but I explained it at the table. I explained it at the table. I don't know why you needed to bring it here, but thank you. It's not your time to speak, Ms. Posey. I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Brown. Any other comments relative to announcements or communications? The next monthly work session is scheduled for Tuesday, December the 7th, to be determined at a time and a board meeting scheduled at 3 p.m. I'm sorry. See, I don't even know who you are. You're Shirley, and okay. I'm sorry, Tom Edwards, I apologize.
I just would like to leave on a little good news about the school district. I'll start by thanking Dr. Asplin for helping put together the Miss Susie's project that was in the newspaper today. I was privileged to know about the project and brought the idea to Dr. Asplin, and He had a great open mind and brought his team together. Ron DePillo and Trip Jennings came on board. Jody got on board. Sarah Dan got on board, and Dr. Shelley. And we are proud to talk about it's an embryonic program for kids to learn about the hospitality industry. So we'll have 10 kids go through the program starting in March. And that is just, when I say embryonic, it will transfer to the Miss Susie's location on Martin Luther King Boulevard once they get that building up and running. And the idea behind it is that it's going to teach kids front of the house, back of the house of the hospitality industry. And we have so much negativity in this room, I couldn't leave without sharing that good news. So thanks to you, Dr. Asplin, all of the people that I mentioned. And it's what we do here, believe it or not. We work for kids.
Thank you, Tom. That was great. I want to also spread some good news. I think we ought to start looking at perhaps ways of bringing forward some good news every time we have a school board meeting, a story or something that we've been involved in. We're always finding people who are looking for bad things. They're only looking for stones to throw. What was the Reverend said last time? Do you throw a stone or do you catch one? And I think we all ought to be catching them. And so I would just hope that all of you would have a happy, a grateful, and a thankful Thanksgiving Day week next week. I would hope that, you know, if you're being and feeling grateful and in gratitude, you can't be angry. So I think that makes a good point right there. But I hope that everyone enjoys their holiday, and we'll see you all back here on December 7th. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.